Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Yo, Shannon Sharpe, we're going to break down this whole case, see where you at. We're going to put a number up at the end of the show. We could call in, voice your opinion, because I know everybody got their own answer. I'm going to do a reaction video to the long crime video, breaking down the case from their point of view, and I'm going to explain it from a street gangster's point of view. So it's a few things you might hear that you might not agree with, and it might be shocking to your ear. But that's because all we do is keep it real over here at the Mecca. All right. All right, you know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio, man. We here. Come in. We're going to play the long crime joint. We're going to break it down. So listen to Jesse Bever. We're going to get into that as you come in. Sit back and know that we're going to take you for a ride, and we're going to break down the Shannon Sharpe case, all right, with all the new information and everything going on.
NFL Hall of Famer, podcaster, sports analyst Shannon Sharpe has been in the news quite a bit this last week, and as updates come in, we have been covering it here, too, on Sidebar. Now, we know that a Nevada woman filed a $50 million lawsuit against him on April 20th, claiming that he raped her twice in October of 2024 and once in January of 2025. And the sexual assault allegations are incredibly disturbing, that this purportedly happened while she was crying and begging for him to stop. This unidentified Jane Doe also claims that he recorded her without her consent, that he shared those videos with others, that he even threatened her. And I'm going to get into a new response that we haven't even talked about yet in just a minute, but it wasn't just the lawsuit that was shocking. No, it was also the events that transpired afterwards. Because what happens? Sharpe released a statement on his Instagram.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown.
And he claims that Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, is targeting black men because we know that Tony Busby previously sued Sean Combs, Jay-Z, Deshaun Watson, claims that
Do you believe that Tony Busby is officially targeting black men? Put it in the comments. I'm going to put a phone number up where you could call in and voice your opinion, but please sit back and enjoy the show until this is over. All right, let's go.
He believes that her side is going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape, and apparently he encouraged them, just release the whole thing, provide the whole context. Apparently he revealed her name and also the name that she goes by when she purportedly uses or presents on OnlyFans. And overall, he and his team have been adamant that everything that happened between the two of them was consensual. And to
hold on, I just want to ask y'all this, right? And y'all really put this in the comments. I just want to ask y'all this. Can you believe that a OnlyFans member is suing someone for what they do for their profession? Put that in the comments, how that sounds to you. Someone is selling a service, someone buys the service, and they're suing them for how they use the service, maybe. Okay.
To prove that, his side released a plethora of text messages seemingly between Sharpe and this Jane Doe. For example, as reported by TMZ, there's one apparent message from October 2023 where Jane Doe seemingly messages Sharpe, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're bleeping me, okay?
All right, so check, right? You see what that just said, so you fully understand. Now, in her lawsuit, she said and claimed that Shannon Sharpe allegedly initiated this, race play and all of these different plays that's going on, And I want to know, does her text supersede, or does that show that she lied in her claim when she said that Shannon Sharpe was the one that initiated it, or does this sound like she's initiating it? I mean, let's just go through this.
You fill in the blank. The NY Post reporting on other messages allegedly from Jane Doe, like tie me up and do bad things to me.
Tie me up and do bad things to me. Do you hear this? Tie me up and do bad things to me.
Now, Busby responded and said that these messages are from before the alleged.
So no, but this is from before when she was a freak, but she's no longer a freak. You know what I mean? So you can't use the stuff when she was a freak, now because now she's not a freak and he took the cookies. Basically what Busby's saying.
Assaults. And really, a woman can say yes 99 times, but that one time she says no, that's all that matters. And in that
Facts.
vein, by the way, an audio clip was released by Tony Busby, or seemingly by him and his side, capturing the voice of a woman whom attorneys identify as the woman suing Shannon Sharpe, telling him not to manipulate her. And then you hear a man's voice resembling Shannon Sharpe's can be heard saying, if you say that word one more time, I'm going to bleep and choke the bleep out of you when I see you. And the woman.
Now, he says he's going to choke her, right? When you hear that, what comes to your mind when you hear Shannon Sharpe say, if you say that word one more time to me, I'm going to choke the effing out of you next time I see you? When this is two adults that's playing an actual game. See, I'm playing lawyer right now, not picking side, but playing a lawyer because this is fun. Now, we sitting there, and let's say I'm defending Shannon Sharpe, right? I'm a defending Shannon Sharpe. I'm a ride right now, as if I was a defense attorney, but I don't believe none of that crap. I'm just waiting to see all this go out. But if I was a defense attorney, I'll say, hold up, here they go. They have a sexual action. Know what's going on. When he say choking her, he didn't mean with the hands. He meant with his big black that she wanted to have the big black baby by that we're going to show you the text from. You understand? I was going to choke out the way we choke out. That's how me and her choke out, like how Diddy got the freak off with Cassie. See, they bringing their actual, plays that they creating into the media, into our world, and paint a picture. But that's basically what the picture is. Here you go. You got a big black buck. You know what I mean? You got the white damsel in distress. And he got a big black buck. You know what I mean? Now, Shannon Sharpe, he probably, he done did his little thing, and now he want to see what the world is like. So he has the bag, so he goes after the damsel in distress, and he wants one half his age. He grabs up on her. Gabriella sits there. She go with it. She play with him. They do what they do, and everything is great. They loving it. They're literally loving it. But now, check it, right? Now, Gabriella says, hold up. I'm done with this. You're not breaking me off with another. I'm tired of what crumbs you're giving me compared to what you're getting. You're getting ready to get $100 million. And all you want to give me is $10 million after I put up with all your freaky body odor. You smelling like a musty gorilla that been in the woods of Tonga Tong. You know what I mean? Neverwhere. And you want to give me a lousy $10 million? This what the damsel in distress said. And he said, but you on your OnlyFans. No, I'm still a woman. Whoa. Do y'all believe she's still a woman? Or you don't believe it? You put in the comments, not giving my opinion. So you right bastards and flip-flop wearing in public trolls, fall back. But we're going to play the rest of this out because Shannon is saying he's going to choke her out. You know what I mean? As Shannon's defense attorney, I'm going to say he was going to choke her out with his big mouth. Oh, you know what I mean? That's where he at. Now, let's see her response to that.
Allegedly, Jane Doe in this case, then can be heard saying she does not want that, while the voice resembles.
Now, she said, nah, I don't want that. Like if, they playing a little submissive game. I don't want you to choke me out, Mandingo. You know what I mean? That's what well, I don't want that means, Jory. That's how I do it if I was his lawyer. That's their little game. That's how they play. That's what people with money do. They create crazy, kinky games.
Shannon Sharpe responds, yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Right there, he's saying you don't have a choice in the matter because you can't take me all the way because I'm Mandingo. But they switching it like if, which I don't understand, that he's talking about choking out with the hands. Jury, listen to me. This is their X-play. This is how they do it. He chokes her out. Gobble, gobble. It's not that hard. She's with the OnlyFans, and he's a fan. And he pays the Only to be with the Only as a fan for a price, is the way it go. Now, so you understand, let's move forward.
Then, Shannon Sharpe, and we talked about this on a previous sidebar, decided to temporarily step away from his job at ESPN's First Take. And Sharpe's statement that was posted to his Instagram account on April 24th says in part, quote, "The relationship in question was 100% consensual. At this juncture, I am electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with false and disruptive allegations against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason."
Now, all right, before we go any further, I want to do the intro one more time. All right. That's enough. Let's hear what Shannon got to say.
Sharpe's departure, ESPN released a statement of its own. A spokesperson for the sports conglomerate writing, "This is a serious situation, and we agree with Shannon's decision to step away." But it was reported from outlets like Us Weekly that just hours later, Sharpe showed up at the NFL draft in Wisconsin and recorded an episode of his Nightcap podcast with Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Although they didn't talk anything about the allegations, it was interesting he made that appearance. Now,
Why? They think Sharpe was supposed to hide? Like if he was guilty? Do y'all believe Sharpe is guilty? Somebody put in the comments, let us know, because he said it like he wasn't supposed to go. And that might have been from shame, from guilt. I'm just saying the way I interpret it.
we have some more statements and responses that we haven't gotten into previously on other episodes of Sidebar, but we're going to get into now. But before we do that, I want to bring on Dan Lust, sports attorney, host of the Conduct Detrimental podcast, and professor at New York Law School. Dan, so good to see you. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Jesse, good to see you as well. The story, as you would expect, is front page news in our world. So certainly happy to break it down with you.
I know. When it broke, we wanted you on immediately. We haven't talked about it. Your overall thoughts on everything that I laid out so far, and we'll get into more specifics. I know we're going to get into a little bit about what Stephen A. Smith had to say, because we presented a little bit of his response in our last episode, but he has a much fuller response that we'll get into. So putting Stephen A. Smith to the side, just your overall thoughts on what you're seeing here.
Yeah, so this is a dynamic story involving a sports media personality, and we're seeing the case litigated through the media. So every day we have something new. And as I think you and I kind of exchanged some thoughts briefly last week, this was an evolving story, and I figured there would be an update this week. And obviously it's still somewhat unfolding. But, on big picture, we have Tony Busby, who is no stranger to high-profile cases involving, people in the sports and entertainment realm. And then we have, I guess, a character from the past, Lanny Davis, the attorney for Shannon Sharpe. So anytime you see kind of two high-profile lawyers on either side, I start kind of dissecting the lawyer beats in the conversation. So
that's where it's going to come down to whoever writes the best script. That's why you pay for the best lawyers. Whoever could write the best movie script to send it to the jury is the one that get paid the bag. Okay. Now that we got that straight.
A lot to unpack, and certainly no shortage of legal tactics in the media to kind of look at here.
I said this before, I'll say it again. It feels like the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni strategy. Litigate this in the media, right? Especially when you have a high-profile individual like this, because you're not only battling this in the court of law, you're battling this in the court of public opinion. I'm not saying you should do this, but what I think is we're seeing is if you put enough out there, it could create a situation where Jane Doe might drop her suit. If people start siding with Shannon Sharpe, if he presents text messages, it's getting quite ugly before there's some sort of protective order or gag order put in place by the court. What do you make of this strategy to litigate this for everyone to see?
This is the weird part. And I'll also add to that, like there's a little bit coming from here, a little bit coming from here. And if you kind of create a circus about a story, maybe it loses its underlying heart and the sensitivity of the nature of the allegation. So I think that's a little bit what's going on. From a substantive perspective, and I know you alluded to it, right? There's I think it's a minute-ish clip, purportedly a phone call between Shannon Sharpe and his accuser. And there are, we'll say, and this is kind of the first domino, right? It's not a graphic video in terms of, it's not a video. It's actually just a phone call, and we're talking about some things. Put it this way, I don't want to make this kind of step in it, but you can say things on a phone call that will be two things that two adults are legally allowed to consent to with one another. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. That initial phone call that went out, yes, it was somewhat graphic in its nature, but it's nothing really criminal that occurred on that phone call. So the next step that Shannon Sharpe's side took was basically to release, I think, a much more extensive array of text messages that also carried within the same theme of graphic messaging. You know, again, maybe not necessarily illegal, but things that consenting adults could consent to, right? There's no issue with this. You and I have talked on a previous episode about Trevor Bauer and those allegations with where someone was allegedly rendered unconscious, where legally you're not allowed to consent to that type of an act. So you asked me what my thoughts were on the strategy of litigating this. I don't really quite understand the strategic nature of releasing more things. Like Tony Busby's side allegedly released this a minute audio clip. The text messages are more of the same, none of which are criminal, but we understand, right? I think as a viewing public, we can understand there is some consent that happened to this, but you're not really litigating the case in the media, so to speak, by offering text messages that don't show consent of the underlying act of sexual assault that's here. So yes, it's just, to me, that move was really just muddying the waters, and we can certainly get into what I view as other confusing signals. We'll put it that way.
They're saying it was all wrong.
Stop it. See, that's a bunch of bull crap, right? We're going to ride and I'm going to give you the real, right? Because they trying to say, like, if Shannon Sharpe put this out to make it look like it was a crazy ordeal that was going on, it's really about nothing, make it look stupid enough, and nobody pay attention to it, nobody want to hear it, so you get tired of it, like we got tired of the Diddy case, and then we moved on to the Little Dirt case, and then we moved on to, you know, Big U case, and, you know, these cases, they come and they go. So that's what happens in the real world. So they trying to say that Shannon Sharpe is throwing it out and muddy the water to make it look real stupid. Yo, why would the man do that when his livelihood is on the stake? His livelihood. It's not a criminal thing. It's his livelihood, because now you're painting him as a raper. But I just want to know, somebody put in the comments, somebody let me know, wasn't last week he was supposed to be he cipher, monkey cipher? Meaning that he like men. Wasn't that? I mean, I don't understand. Somebody explain that to me, because I'm really confused. Last week, he liked men, and then this week, you know, he's a heterosexual raper, and everybody runs with it. I'm just confused. I need some help. Give me some help. Give me some help. Give me some help. But that's what it is. So he's letting out these things, right? So this is what Shannon doing. Shannon is letting out the text messages to show that the picture that he has of her, from how he sees it, is that she's a whore. You understand? And we did whore things, and this is what happened. You know, this is Shannon's, you know, this is the way the text messages is reading to people out there, but just giving it to you raw, because this is a gangster channel. You know? So now he got us a whore. Now he paid for a whore, and then now all of a sudden now the whore want to sue me. You know what I mean? And here's proof that she's a whore. She told me Tyra put a dog collar on the choker, beat her, and give her a big black baby with this big black mandingo. Here go the text. This is what you sitting here got me fighting for my career against somebody that's actually telling me, you know what I mean, to put a dog collar on me and walk me and wait for a big black baby and, you know, 25 grand each cheek. Come on, dog. That's what Shannon is saying. I'm just reading this so y'all understand. If y'all, you know, you can disagree with me all you want. We're going to put it up there, and we got a phone number. We're going to have you call it in a minute, but we just riding right now. But I just want to break it down so that y'all understand how, you know, we see it from where we stand, and they see it from where, you know, they stand. But right now, you know, I don't have a stance. I'm in the middle. I'm just trying to paint the picture for both sides so that you could be able to make a conscious choice to do the right thing. Because I'm telling you now, you don't want to be doing none of that. When a person say no, it's no. You know what I mean? A lot of people get no when somebody just, you know, asks them for $1, you know, because they always give it to him. They ask him that one time, and they tell him no that one time, and now he wants to, you know what I mean, fight you over your own dollar. I've watched that happen. But he had a right to say no because it's his. He could give it to you 99 times, you know, but he can keep it for himself that once. You know, let's keep this moving.
role playing, right? The idea of what he said on that, or allegedly said on that audio tape, is another example of role playing, and that she agreed to all of it. And they're trying to gray up a lot of this. And, it's interesting because, and we'll get into this a little bit later, about the idea that he potentially offered her a $10 million settlement before she filed. Now, some people would say, if you offer that settlement, you're hiding something, right? You're guilty as sin. The other people say, I don't want this coming out. This is embarrassing for me. I mean, this is my personal, private, intimate life. I don't want any of this coming out. $10 million? What does that say to you?
I have some strong thoughts there, and this is where I was kind of getting to. So I'm happy you took us there. It's just mixed signals, right? You can't have a statement that basically dares someone to release the video, release the full video, not the unedited, release everything. We want this to be out there for everyone to see. We want it to be litigated above board. Let's get this all out. And at the same time say, well, I want to pay $10 million. And again, that's an admission from Shannon Sharpe's lawyer. That's not from Tony Busby and the other side. That's Shannon Sharpe's lawyer saying they're trying to extort us for a lot of money. Yes, we can all agree that sometimes the playbook, that there's some type of extortion that occurs. I'll put in quotes because it's not really an extortion to have a lawful negotiation back and forth. But to offer 10 million tells you that there's something in the case that they don't want to go out. So I don't know how you offer 10 million, which is not a nuisance level settlement. That's a giant number, right? 10 million, and then say we want everything to come out. We're totally fine with this, the truth being out there. Those two things are not consistent with one another in what is a general legal playbook for litigating things in the media.
By the way, what did you make of him showing up to the draft?
They have spoken, but now I'm gonna speak for the street. Right? He's saying that Shannon Sharpe. Hold up, man. He's saying that Shannon Sharpe. Right? I don't even get it. It's just let me run this back because, like I said, I had one of those what they call them brain farts again. Yeah, hold on.
They don't want to go out. So I don't know how you offer 10 million, which is not a nuisance level
settlement. The 10 million?
That's a giant number, right? 10 million, and then say we want everything to come out. We're totally fine with this, the truth being out there. Those two things are not consistent with one another in what is a general legal playbook for litigating things in the media.
See what he's saying? Legal playbook for playing things in the media. But no, we're not dealing with that, right? Bottom line is you got a man that got a career, right? Let's just keep it 100. We riding. He got a career. He got a little squally that he cared about, you know what I mean? He backed off from the squally, you know what I mean? Now, he moving forward, squally still want to hold on. He finds something else, squally still want to hold on. Squally say, I'm going to get you. You know what I mean? He say, yeah, you back there. I got 3 others since you. That's a wrap. So then now he goes forward and he has an opportunity to make $100 million. And he know that this squally, right? Meaning little shorty, that's all it is. Little shorty on the side, right? This little shorty could bring all that down. So, Amber's point of view, let me just give her, 10% of the 100 million. So Shannon said, I'm gonna give it, here, take 10% because I do love you. We do good things together. I love our role play. Here, take this 10 million. And then now she gets with a lawyer that tell her, no, that's not enough. But remember, he didn't get the 100 million yet. Let's keep it real. He didn't get that 100 million yet. So now you want 50% of the 100 million that he don't even have access to. And your antics are screwing up. Your antics are screwing up the bag for both of you. That's a woman scorned, man. Hold up. I'm gonna take this one real quick. Keep it to the point. What's up? How you doing? Where you calling? You being recorded?
What up,
son?
Yeah, I just want to say this, man. I got to say it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking how to articulate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
My brother passed away last year, 65, right? And you're in that same age group, but then, you raised me, you know what I mean? Brought me up. So not Jamaican, but my cousin from Kingston, Gregory Park.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't a whole lot of cats out here keeping it real, like you keep it real. I respect what you're doing, bro. Mm-hmm. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I don't never reach out to folks. I don't know nobody. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't even know why I feel compelled. It's the second time I hit you, but because there's that much bullshit out here on YouTube, on news, and even on the streets, on betrayal and everything else. So I say this hoping, because I don't put my trust in nobody fully, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's like the real voice of the streets, man. You got a lot of fucking knowledge, bro. You know what I mean? And the way you articulate this shit and break it down and words like empathy, that's empathy, you know what I mean? So the jail, so like most people don't know how to associate that. You know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers that don't never been there and probably never will go there. You know what I mean? You can still, bro, you bring that shit to you gotta give it, bro. You hear me? Whatever God put in you, keep that shit rolling, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a God, like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you doing, man. Over that shit was passed on like Ibrahim to your daughter, like, you know what I mean? She keep it real watch on the jaw. Just keep it 100, bro. You know what I mean? Don't upset us like some of you dudes do, man. 20 years later, you find out they fucking momos and this, that, and the other. You know what I mean?
We out on that one, son. Peace. All right. Yeah, but let me get back to the show. But that's how real we keep it. Thanks for the call, man. He kept it 100.
By the way, what did you make of him showing up to the draft?
I think he's just basically saying, business as usual, right? Like, I'm just going to show up. I was looking this morning to see if he's put podcasts out. Club Shay Shay is still alive and well. It's his own podcast. He's putting it out on YouTube, but I think ESPN, has somewhat distanced himself from the distribution, but he's putting it out there, right? And I think from his perspective, he's saying preponderance of the evidence is on the plaintiff. I can do whatever I'm doing right now. And he is at this new media world where he has his own independent podcast. Disney/ESPN can't control distribution of a podcast, right? Like, I have my own podcast. Like, even God forbid I lose my job at my law firm, I can still put my podcast out. There's no relation to it. But showing up at the draft with those level of NFL credentials is a different move. And recording a podcast with Chad Johnson, aka Chad Ochocinco, is, I think, another move to say business as usual. We're going to keep moving. But the problem, Jesse, and this is to the larger point where I have an issue with what Shannon Sharpe did, there is no onus. You don't have to put all of those text messages out. You don't have to admit that a $10 million offer was made. But once you put those things out, ESPN can, I think, take the position, which Fox Sports did for a period of time in their, I don't want to say similar, but another sexual assault allegation that occurred at work, sexual harassment. Fox Sports took the position, we don't know enough. This is just a complaint. We don't know enough from our side. We're going to conduct an internal investigation. But Shannon Sharpe's side really pressed the accelerator on this case. And they themselves put out a lot of details, which I think tend to make Sharpe look worse. So once you put your accelerator on your defense, I think ESPN is certainly free to say there's just too much out in the media from both sides. We have to part ways at this point.
Word. And that's what the whole thing was about. So that could have been why he offered her the 10 million, the 10% of the 100 million, saying, yo, if, they screw up, both of us get nothing. You know what I mean? But she said she wanted more than that 10%. She went all the way up. She wanted half. They're not married. They don't have any children, but, she wanted half. Do you think that she was entitled to half? Do you think that she is entitled to half? Why or why not? You put it in the comments. We ain't going to take the phone calls here. We're going to ride a little more. We're almost there.
He says he wasn't fired. He was stepped away. And let me add to that, because now I want to go to Stephen A. Smith. We talked about Stephen A. Smith. This is Shannon Sharpe's co-host on First Take. We talked about him in a previous sidebar, but there was a lot more comments that he made. And I want to get into it. So this was on Smith's YouTube show. And he said the following. Do I believe that Shannon Sharpe is guilty of what he's been accused of? Absolutely not. That's my personal opinion. The brother that I've come to know, I don't believe would assault or rape anybody. And I'm going to state that emphatically. But just as emphatically, I'm going to remind everybody it is my opinion because of what I feel about him, and not in any way imply that I know a damn thing beyond that, because I don't know. I'll always be here for him if he needs me. Just the same way I said that about Skip Bayless when he departed from Fox. Just the same way that I would say about any of my friends. That's what friends do, even in the toughest of times. Sometimes, especially the toughest of times. They ain't telling you you're right all the time. And hell, sometimes they may not stop you from falling into that abyss, but they're there to lift you up when nobody else will. He added, when the news came down that he and ESPN had mutually agreed that he would need to come off the airwaves of ESPN, it was a blow to the show, a blow to me personally, because I'm going to miss him. But it was not a surprise. I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN. And he added that he took a break from ESPN beginning in 2009. They didn't need any definitive evidence at this particular moment in time about all that stuff. Once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there, it was uncomfortable to listen to. and it was not something that Walt Disney wants associated with its brand. So to have him on the airwaves while all that stuff was put out, that was not something that Disney was going to take. This is what I mean when I say I'm not surprised. It wasn't difficult for me to figure out what was transpiring. ESPN and Disney have a wait-and-see attitude when it comes to whatever evidence they may learn about this entire situation involving Shannon Sharpe from a civil perspective. That's all I have to say, other than I hope he's back in this business real soon on linear television, talking some football, because that man knows his football, and he certainly knows how to entertain us. While he's talking about football, I'm going to miss him. So, Dan, a lot of things here.
All right. So you believe that, right? I said that's a bunch of crap. But he said it right. I like the way Stephen A. Fitz represented and posted the letter in the matter that he posted it in, because he let it be known, I'm standing by my friend, but I don't know what's happening beyond that. And for me, not knowing what's happening beyond that, I'm not standing on that, but I'm holding them down. You know, but what he do on his own, that's what he do on his own. That ain't got a dang thing to do with me, is what he was basically saying. All right.
But I got to say, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with Stephen A. Smith. I mean, Disney does not want that, what he said, even if it was 100% consensual. It's not fair, but, you know, this is not a court of law. This is a business. Does Walt Disney want their host saying these things, or allegedly saying these things in text messages and a phone call? And it makes me wonder, is Stephen A. Smith right? And how on earth could Shannon Sharpe ever come back to ESPN?
So there's one thing, and I'll answer the question, but there's one thing in Stephen A. Smith's statement that I told you that I think is somewhat telling, right? Stephen A. Smith is friends with Shannon Sharpe. They've talked about this. It's very clear and evident from their statement that they're friends. Stephen A. Smith, in the statement that you read, I'm happy we got it out there, right? They didn't need definitive evidence talking about ESPN once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there. So Stephen A. Smith is pointing the finger at the lawyer. And then later on, I think in that episode, I believe Stephen A. Smith said that Lanny Davis, while not referring to him directly, seemingly as we're talking about him, said he was, quote, not being impressive in this at all. So Stephen A. Smith seems to blame the lawyer's comments for taking this to the next level. So, you know, that's, and Jesse and I'll toot our own horn a little bit. If a client called us and said, how do we deal with this? You and I, having some sensitivity for the media, would say, like, listen, there is a way to litigate this through the media, putting this all up, but you're definitely jeopardizing your status at Disney, right? This is not Fox Sports, right? This is Disney, which is Mickey Mouse, right? PG-13. I don't think you can get away with having those consensual texts, which definitely rise to a level of provocative nature, even if they're between consenting adults. So do I think Shannon Sharpe can move on from this in his career? Yes, I do, because he has his own independent platform, which, you know, I think at one point had a $400 million valuation. They were talking about the Shannon Sharpe Podcast Network. He brings on a ton of guests. So do I think he'll have a career? Yes. Do I think he'll have a career at Disney? That's a very different story. And Shannon Sharpe is admitting to these acts, which, again, might not.
Hold up. They talk about when you have a career at Disney. So let me ask you all this, right? Would you let this man on the screen play with your kids? That's just a question, right? And they try to say now, to point out that he should have never been no face of Disney. You know what I mean? Even before these accusations. So they let it be known like this will definitely crush him. You know, but you know what this remind me of? Because, you know, we like to ride. This remind me a lot of the Diddy case. You remember the Diddy case where, you know, he tried to give Cassie 30 million. She said, nah, it's not enough. I want 100 million. You know what I mean? And he said, no. Next thing you know, he's sitting in a jail cell and he wound up, you know, settling in a day. And then here is Shannon Sharpe coming right behind him with the same playbook to get the bag out of him, right? Regardless what color, just to get the bag out of him. So now they pull up on his big NFL plane, retired, can't get no, too old and still want to be with babies, you know, ass. Now, here goes Shannon, you know, I'll give you 10 million, not a dime more. She said, well, we ain't got to talk no more. I got Tony Busby. And remember, this program is sponsored by Cashbox. Cashbox is getting ready to come, right? You know, you send your money to somebody and, you know, you push the key wrong and you sent it to the wrong person. You like, damn, you can't contact Cashbox and say, look, I sent the money to the wrong person. They say, well, hey, we can't do nothing about that. Contact that person because they're in your contact list and you let them know to send that money back. No, but I sent them 50,000. You know, this is Shannon Sharpe talking about. But I sent them allegedly 50,000, you know, 25,000 of cheeks. She said, what kind of cheeks? You know what I mean? So I sent her 50,000 for cheeks. Then he said, what you look like? You know what I mean? See, like, you got another 50,000, you know, but now he goes to send the money to the one that agreed to get the first one. You understand? To Gabriella. But instead, he sent the 50 grand to the person at Cashbox that he was planning on spending another 50 grand with. So now he calls Cashback girl back and said, well, you got the 50 grand? Said, nah, but you meant to send it to her, but instead you sent it to me, so that's my money, you know? But if he was with Cashbox, this is what he could have did. If he was with Cashbox, he could have just stopped it right there, because once it goes to anybody, if it goes to the right or the wrong person, it alerts you back through a virtual vault that asks you, is this who you intended to send the money to? They are now picking up the funds. So you could look and say that stinking hooker, she tried to blame me, but Cashbox helped me keep my 50 grand and get another set of cheeks. This is sponsored by Cashbox. Let's get back to this, man. I just want to have some fun. All right. Now, matter of fact, man, you know, cheers, the crime. I just want you to let you know that I'm just giving you a criminal mind right now, because I'm tapping in there, but I'm no longer into that, but been there, done that, trying to let y'all know it's not worth it. I've been there, spent 26 years of my life there. Can't believe I was that damn stupid, but I'm trying to prevent y'all from being that damn stupid. Now, I just want to know, Ron, you know, how many likes we got in there, Ron? And I want to thank y'all for my 100,000, you know, plaque. You know, you see how my joint fire? I just come out of prison, and you know, and I start my own YouTube, build it up, learn how to do the OBS, the StreamYard, the this, the that. You know what I mean? To use plugins and, you know, and plug outs and inputs and outputs and transitions and transformers and all this other stuff. Because I said, you know what? I'm not going back to sell drugs no more, because I'm not going back to prison for another 26 years. So I'm going to talk to these young people and let them know that they could go another route. It's free for anybody to give it a shot, man. But that don't mean you have to go up there cussing nobody out, disrespecting nobody. You know what I mean? Just give them the jewels you have to offer. And there's somebody that want to listen to you. It might start small, it might start big, but that's where we at, right? So we riding right now. But I want to know why the likes ain't up. We need the likes up. How many likes I got in here, man? How many likes do I see in here? Somebody let me know how many likes we got in here. I'm giving y'all a hell of a content. Early afternoon to roll into the lunch. 86 likes with 1,000 people. Oh, y'all shitting me? I'm gonna play the intro while y'all hit the like button, man. All right. All right, that's what I'm saying. Thank you. The likes went up. Thank you. We got something like 30 likes. You know, 108 likes in the back, but we still need to get them up. We got 1,038 people with only 108 likes, and I'm giving y'all fire content, spending my afternoon enjoying it with y'all. So could I at least get a thumbs up, being that y'all scared to death of the Cash App? All right, let's keep it moving. All right.
Not be illegal, right? And I'm talking about the acts between the text message and consenting adults, but the optics of that are really bad, right? And it doesn't have to be a crime that was committed by Shannon Sharpe, but he's admitting to the nature of the text. And Jesse, you read them about dog collars and whatever else. And if Disney doesn't want to have that on their brand, they don't have to. So I'm not sure that Shannon Sharpe ever appears on ESPN again. Certainly he could have a lucrative career working for any number of other football networks, but that's the nature of the beast. You know, when if you were Shannon Sharpe's side, you've put your finger on the pulse. You want to put all of this out in the media, and there are ramifications to doing that. So, I just hope Shannon Sharpe was advised of that properly. But from Stephen A. Smith's perspective, he's pointing the finger at the lawyer, which you never want to be the subject of the story.
It's an interesting point. You hope.
All right. Yeah, we're interesting point. All right, we understand. Interesting point to y'all. What's an interesting point to me, Ron, is do you think Shannon, instead of offering her 10 million, right, Should have just gave it the 50 million and got over it or what? You think he would have learned from Diddy bucking Cassie, disrespecting her, offering Cassie 30 million after 15 years of putting up with that, what she alleges abuse for 30 lousy million? And then offer the court $42 million for his own freedom after he gave Cassie allegedly around 100 million. Somebody let some of this make sense to me, because I'm a little confused here. You know what I mean? Let's get them likes up. Let's get them likes up, right? But check, right? So this is where we at. Do you think that Shannon should have just go off with, here, just take the 50 million. Once I sign this, I'm going to give you the 50 million, keep your mouth shut. Do you think Shannon wish he would have did that now from where his career is going? And would you feel like that if you were Shannon? Somebody put it in the comments and somebody let me know. Because we at Unique Mecca Audio will be challenge your thinking. You know, make sure you cop the book, you know, Aurora in Harlem. Fire, fire, fire. You know, and, you know, we got the sweatshirts and all. Let's keep it moving.
On the same page moving forward, but I hear you. It's a good point. Okay, I want your reaction to this. So there's another statement. This is a new statement from Shannon Sharpe's litigation counsel,
Here we go.
Mitchell Schuster. So one of the things that he addressed is why Sharpe would be willing to pay $10 million, this settlement to Jane Doe before she filed the suit, saying when she learned that he would not father a child with her, she resorted to extortion. While Shannon was willing to pay her a substantial amount of money to avoid the intimate details of his personal life from being exposed, as many high-profile individuals often do when they're being threatened. Dan, first, let me start there. Thoughts on that?
I think it's funny that another lawyer is now giving statements trying to do some CYA for the first lawyer. That's my perspective. But yeah, I mean,
that's fair.
I'm just a different lawyer. Usually you don't have two different lawyers within 72 hours giving statements in the case. Someone takes the reins. So I think our friend Stephen A. Smith gave us some hints here. But yes, yeah, statement's interesting. But yes, keep going. All good.
Okay, so there's another part where Schuster also explained that Sharpe intends to pursue claims against, meaning Jane Doe, and all who have assisted her with the dissemination of her fabricated story. And this is interesting, right? Does that mean he's going to file a lawsuit for defamation against her? Because I don't know how that works. There's a litigation privilege, right? Somebody can file every lawsuit. The other side's going to say is not true. It's all lies. You can't just turn around and file a defamation lawsuit. You have to have the ability to present your claims. What could he sue for?
It's not that different. And you know, I think Shannon Sharpe referenced this in his Instagram post probably at some point last week, but he said Tony Busby is the same lawyer that went after, you know, Jay-Z, and that lawsuit was later dropped. And I think if memory serves, I believe Jay-Z is going after Tony Busby, the lawyer behind that case, for putting that case out. The underlying case was dropped, but I believe Jay-Z is pursuing a defamation case against Tony Busby in connection with that.
And extortion too. Yeah.
Extortion, right. So it depends again what state we're based in. But if you wanted to tell me, not defamation, right? But if a video is doctored, right, you're not really necessarily protected by the judicial privilege if you are manufacturing and faking a video, which seemingly was the allegation from Sharpe's side. So, you know, you could always defend it and say litigation privilege. We filed this lawsuit ahead of time. We're certainly protected, but it's not going to stop someone from suing and maybe applying the same pressure tactics that Shannon Sharpe's side was accusing Tony Busby of in the first sense, right? You might have some exposure, and maybe your malpractice carrier has some money they want to pony up instead of litigating the case in the court system. So you certainly could do that, but you know it's not the first and certainly won't be the last defendant to fire back and say these claims are defamatory, I'm being extorted, and I'm going to sue you, right? And maybe not via a counterclaim, but via a separate action. That's certainly possible.
And we have just a couple that. Marcellus Wiley, also a former NFL player, reacted to this lawsuit Sunday during an episode of Dat Dude TV on YouTube, saying his, quote, spidey senses were tingling when he heard about the filing. He said, something just ain't right with the timing of the settlement offer, the allegations, and even the temporary leave of absence. Either Shannon got played or you and me are getting played as well. Did she know that deal was happening or she didn't know? Because on Friday it was reported and on Sunday she filed. What happened between Friday and Sunday? Dan?
Damn good question. What do you think happened between Friday and Sunday? Somebody let me know what you think happened between Friday and Sunday. This is getting good. That's why I'm locked in right now. We getting ready to answer the phones and all that in a second. But right now, we just riding for a second. Bear with me. Here we go.
What do you think about that?
Let's get all the
I
facts.
think what Marcellus is alluding to, there had been some reports of a very lucrative deal that Shannon's podcast network was being acquired. I think the number was, again, floated around $400 million. So if you're asking me why $10 million was offered, right, and obviously you and I are joking about Mitchell Schuster's second statement seeming to try to explain why Davis was talking about the $10 million off in the first place. If you stand to make $400 million, certainly $10 million is a drop in the bucket with respect to $400 million. And if you could pay 10 and then you net out 390, maybe you pay 10. Maybe that makes sense. That's the type of cost benefit settlement that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware that we were that close to a statute of limitations, and I could be wrong. But filing on a Sunday is somewhat odd. Filing on a Sunday tells you want to get the media for that entire week. And let's not kid ourselves. Last week was the NFL draft. It's the middle of the NFL offseason. Usually if you file on a Sunday during the NFL season, people are talking about football. They're talking about Sunday night football. They're talking about Monday night football. This is the dead time with respect to NFL media. So when you file on Sunday and there's no football activities until the draft on Thursday, you're winning the war in the headlines for those dates. So I think Marcellus is probably right that there is some gamesmanship there. And I do think this was related to the impending deal that Shannon was about to sign. Now, I had the thought, Jesse, this morning, do we think Tony Busby is happy that Shannon Sharpe put his foot on the accelerator and sped up this case in the court of public opinion by releasing those texts? The answer to that is probably no, because there's less that Tony Busby can now leverage Sharpe with, because now Sharpe seemingly is, I guess, a temporary free agent, whatever you want to call it, or is temporary.
Yo, bottom line is, right, because it sounds like a bunch of rambling, no disrespect. Love this program, love Jesse Webb and all that, right? It's like a bunch of rambling. Bottom line is, Shannon Sharpe is saying that she's a hooker. This is what she did. I'm not going to let you come to me and say that you got a sex tape or you got some text saying that I had a dog collar around her neck because here's her asking for it. You know, that's why Shannon said, oh, yeah, that tape you got that's 3 minutes long, you know, that you playing that's 3 minutes long. The whole thing is 10 minutes. I know about I allowed her to get it while I choked her out with all this African mandingo that now you're trying to get me to get scared that the people is going to believe that I put my hands on her when I got all this anaconda and I'm a mandingo. Yo, Shannon is like, is you stupid? And Tony Busby said, well, I just ruined your career. Just by filing it. Look how far Diddy went just from that filing. You see the pattern here? Somebody let me know. How many likes we got, man? How many likes we got? What's going on with the likes? Let me check on these likes, man. Because the numbers is up. Hold on, get the intro up so we get the like. Now we're going to play the outro so we get the likes going. Let's go.
Cheers, cheers, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Let's get them likes up. 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 How many times I got to say, let's get them likes up. All right.
Fresh out the can of 26.
Coming right back. We need them likes up. We need them likes up.
And I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in hard. He cut from the bottom.
I'm going to give you all a chance to hit them likes. We coming back.
YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops make an audio.
All right, that's what it is, man. Make sure y'all cop my man Lou Sims' book. You know what I mean? Fire. The QR code is in the joint. Let's keep this moving. Thank you for bringing them likes up. You know, where we at right now with the likes? 154. That's a little better. Got about 1,500 in here. All right, let's ride.
Temporarily off the air, whatever they're phrasing it as. There's not that much more leverage that Busby could do, because every day he could say, listen, they'll take you off the air tomorrow if I put this out. They'll take you off the air the next day. And that leverage is now gone. It's not to say that the case is going to be any different, but I'm sure Busby was licking his chops at the ability to threaten the release of this video over time. But now he doesn't have that anymore. There's seemingly less bolts in the trigger.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's just been like a week, because it really feels like we accelerated and we heard so much. I want one final point. So Sharpe's attorney, again, Mr. Schuster, address something else in Jane Doe's lawsuit. So in Jane Doe's lawsuit, there was a reference to another lawsuit filed against Shannon Sharpe by a woman named Michelle Evans back in 2023, and it's still ongoing. She's suing for a variety of claims, including defamation for Shannon Sharpe allegedly sexually assaulting her. And in fact, there was a reiteration of one of the same allegations as Jane Doe in this current lawsuit. For example,
Hey, yo, hold up, before he get into the example. So you tell me that Shannon Sharpe been down this rodeo and the whole time they were saying that he liked men? And he was doing all this behind the door with the white women? Did he think the white women were going to tell the world what was going on if he go with the white women with the freakiness? And maybe that's why he skipped the black women with the white women with the freakiness. So now he came around thinking they're not going to tell, but here you come, they turn around, they tell anyway. Somebody explain this to me. I'm a little confused here. Word is born. Yo, look at Shannon. Last week he was supposed to like men. And now oh my God.
Evans' lawsuit claimed that Sharpe told her during a sexual assault that he would, quote, make it so no other man would want me. And in fact, in Jane Doe's lawsuit, it reads,
hold up, how do you know, right? To Shannon's defense, because Shannon got to just go hard right now. So, I mean, Shannon got to go hard right now. So I'm going to give all you rat bastards and flip-flop wearing and public trolls 3 seconds to get off the channel, because I'm getting ready to go raw. There's no disrespect to my viewers and subscribers. And you already know. Now, let's get to this on the ride. She said that Shannon said, I'm going to make it, right? So no other man would want you. And in Shannon's world, with her role playing, he's saying he's going to split her so wide open, no other man going to want you. But they want you to believe that Shannon would put his hands on her. When the whole time when they've been talking about violence, they've been talking about violence with their actual organs. And Shannon is saying he's a mandingo. And she's saying, I'm Jane. I got you to eat from the forbidden fruit. Y'all paying attention to this? So then it goes, without her permission, Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do things with her, that no other man would want her. He talking about splitting her wide open, like the Red Sea. These are freaks we talking about. Now you're trying to turn freakiness into society. You can't bring the two together, it don't go. That's why I say, don't go on the street, it's not worth it. Stay on the side of society, go get your education, do what you need to do, and move forward with your life and leave all that other foolishness in life alone, because it'll set you back. It set me back 26 years. You know, it's just, yeah. It's like society's trying to ban freakiness. So whatever you do in your bedroom, no goes in the courtroom. Well, let's see how that plays out.
Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do things to her that would make no other man want her.
That means split her wide open like a red apple.
Okay, so take it that way will. But according to a sworn affidavit from Shannon Sharpe, he denies the allegation from Michelle Evans that she laid out against him, says it was actually Evans who manipulated and threatened.
See, that, like right there, right? Now, they could switch that up to say that was a cue that Shannon Sharpe was sending to Gabriella, that he wanted to bring his butterfinger to her peanut butter. But let's go. But that's how stupid it sounds. That's what some of these allegations sound like to me. Like, whatever you want to make up, you could try and make it sound like something. And it's whoever's willing to be crazy enough to believe it, believe it. So you have to decipher through this from your sanity and choose what you need to believe.
And him, says that she was harassing him via text messages and phone calls. Well, again, his attorney, Mr. Schuster, has made a comment on that too. Quote, this is exactly what is happening to Shannon Sharpe, and the resurrection of the case involving Michelle Evans is a perfect example. Sadly, Miss Evans became obsessed with Shannon and decided to manufacture a claim against him. When she could not find a lawyer to pursue her outrageous story, she filed a civil complaint on her own that is completely devoid of merit. And basically that's because we believe she's representing herself. Quote, bottom line, Shannon has done nothing wrong and intends to fight back against these malicious lies, not with manufactured defenses or imaginary stories, but with documentary proof and real evidence. So, Dan, we have a situation here where now you have two separate claims, right? And some would say strength and evidence, right? It's coming together against Shannon Sharpe, or he's on the defensive and says, this is just another example. It keeps happening to me and I'm innocent. What do you take away from the inclusion of Michelle Evans here?
See, this is why I'm happy you brought me on the show. I mean, I spent probably 2 years, I was going to say litigating, but covering this case as if I was litigating myself, the Deshaun Watson case where Tony Busby was the plaintiff's lawyer. So there were, I think about 26 civil complaints that were filed. And you and I as the lawyers, I'm like, okay, I understand what's happening here and we'll break it down for the viewers, right? Tony Busby represented essentially 25 of 26 plaintiffs in that case. So a lot of non-lawyers would look and say, wow, these complaints have so much in common. It's basically the same exact thing. There's this common nucleus. It's this pattern. And all these women, some are from different states, from different employers. How are these complaints so similar? And I teach at New York Law School. I do these kind of conversations a lot. And I said, well, same firm. You're basically being asked to draft the same complaint over and over. So a lot of cut and paste jobs that are happening here. So I just want to point that out as a decision point in Tony Busby's history. We've had it, and again, I don't blame Tony Busby. There's nothing wrong with copying and pasting a lot of the same versions of the complaint and putting it out. But the outside public viewed that as being a pattern. Now,
stop that crap. Stop that crap. Even in the penitentiary, Ron, because we're going to take a ride into the prison. Even in the penitentiary, you got those litigating lawyers. You get lawyers in the penitentiary that will sit there. They'll do what they call cut and paste. Meaning once they got the computers in, or even once they started typing, they started cutting pieces of paper for lines, say this and that. They cutting it and pasting it, and they trying to make it say what they saying and photocopy it and send it out. They've been got hip to that, so we already know society could tell when they look at it to tell the different shades of paper under the brightest light and all that if you want the answers to all that. But, they'll cut and paste their legal work. You know what I mean? To say the same thing in 10 different cases. Somebody filed a motion for me, and I didn't read it over before he sent it out. And he cut and paste somebody's whole criminal history that wasn't even mine with my legal papers. You know what I mean? And for me being in a rush to get it out, I never even read it until it went out. Then it came out that they had, it was somebody else's criminal history, that was in it where the court had to write back, what the hell is going on here? But that's what they're saying, that Tony Busby cut and paste a lot of the same arguments from each lawsuit. Like Tony Busby could sit there and he could file 100 lawsuits because all he's doing is cutting and pasting the same facts and information, moving them around on different lawsuits for different questions. So that way he could handle it 100 from cutting and pasting is what he's saying, that we don't really know that when some people do that. It's like in the prison, like I said, we don't really know that. Some people do that. That's how I got schooled to have somebody else's criminal history. All right. And remember, this is sponsored by Cashbox, man. Let's keep it moving. All right.
Does it make sense for Tony Busby to look at other allegations that are out in the public realm against Shannon Sharpe that may or may not be out there, right? You're doing your research. Maybe it's not public. Maybe you're kind of going through the grapevines. You're talking to people in and around the space. It's possible, right? Just think about it practically. If an ex-girlfriend will know about the history of people that Shannon Sharpe has been with, maybe they've had these conversations. So I don't view it as being definitive one way or the other, put it that way. I don't view it as being a pattern. I am someone that really staunchly believes the plaintiff has the preponderance of the evidence. They have to prove their case. So I do think, yes, it's interesting. But again, in the sports and entertainment realm, this happens a lot, right? We could talk about Deshaun Watson, right? 5 people came forward and all of a sudden we had 26. That, to me, as a human being that speaks common sense, that's probably not the best sign if you're Deshaun Watson, but it happens a lot. Justin Tucker, the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, it happened with Trevor Bauer, even P. Diddy, it's happening with. So other people to come out after the fact doesn't always show a pattern, right? These could be 10, 15 years apart from one another, maybe just different things happening at the same time. Jesse, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't point out, right? We're talking about a football case, a sports media case. I still think it is very telling, and I mean this sincerely. I'm not intending to joke about it. Mitchell Schuster has now taken over control as the public narrative and the public face of the media side of Shannon Sharpe's defense. That's almost unheard of for one lawyer, Lanny Davis, a high-profile lawyer who was very involved in some political lawsuits. People can feel free to look that up. But another lawyer has superseded control, and you have Stephen A. Smith basically blaming the first lawyer for why his friend might be getting in trouble from ESPN. Obviously, we know what happens. So I would read very closely the difference between these two statements. And I do think it's just not something I would have done. And again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Every lawyer has different strategies. But putting out A $10 million offer was made. Looks really bad in the court of public opinion. If you have nothing to hide, release the video. We have nothing to hide, but we'll also pay you $10 million. I can make sense of it from a cost-benefit perspective.
Sure.
And I can also make sense of Tony Busby saying it, right, and breaching the confidences of a settlement conversation. Again, not that it's okay, but I understand it.
For him to be,
I really don't understand Sharpe's side doing it, and I really do think that's the reason he's not at ESPN right now.
See, you don't understand it because you ain't from the streets. Sharpe basically let them know straight up, man, this is a squally. In other words, what did TLC called her? This is just a scrub. That's what Sharpe is trying to paint the picture of. She's just a scrub. You know what I mean? Like, she's just a thought, as they say nowadays. And here it is, a thought that screws me. Yo, the likes is up too much right now. I mean, the numbers and the likes is not. Hit them likes while I talk for a little bit so I ain't got to play the music again. Now, I know y'all tired of the music. Let's keep this moving. Yo, but bottom line is, what do you think about what's going on with this whole situation with Shannon Sharpe? You think he, had a right to talk to a young lady half his age? Because a lot of people say that she's half his age. But like I said, we're going all the way back. Hugh Hefner did it. Tony Randall did it. I know a lot of other people that did it. They're no longer in the news, but that's what it is. So if y'all got something to say, where the comments at? Let's get the comments on the screen so we move past that. But let me hit the outro so we know we getting ready to do the comments. All right.
Cheers, cheers, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin.
All right. So now we're going to take questions and answer the phone. So let me scroll up a little bit, get some of these questions in here. All right. But most recent, she's less than half his age. And what was done yesterday don't mean it will be accepted today. Well said. Why do we keep talking about what other men did in the past? This is a new day. But that's because they're using these laws from the past in order to charge you in this day. So the laws from the past says one thing, and now from today's society, they interpret it another way. But when they charge these men, whether it's in civil court or criminal court, it's from a law from in the past to the linen. So you understand, just to try and give you some clarity so you understand. When these statutes is old laws that has always been here, over time. And then now they're interpreting them to today's standards. So you understand what's going on. All right. I hope that helps you to understand a little bit, okay. Sharpe and Stephen are good friends. Look it up. Yeah, I could tell by what he said. That was well said. He's supposed to as a friend because he's just accused. Okay. Yeah, you're putting them up. Shannon Sharpe should pray that none of this turns criminal. Exactly. If those he may have to contact, you about commissary. Yeah, I tell him how to use Green Dot. You know what I mean? Get his lessons on how to survive in the new environment that he's getting ready to have to go in. Next question. Let me see where we at. The audio book is at roaringharlem.com. roaringharlem.com. I'm getting ready to put that up on the screen. roaringharlem.com. With the next question. Let me see where we at. All right. He talking about choking her with the anaconda. Word. I mean, come on. They talking all this freaky talk. What else y'all think is going on with that? You know what I mean? Let me where the phone number at? Put the phone number on the screen. Because y'all don't really, get it. I don't watch BSBN anymore because Stephen A, Big Mouth Shannon, and the rest butt the heck out of me. All right? They bug the heck out of me, but they buzzle. Okay, they got a phone number if you want to call in. Y'all can call in while I read them off the side. That's the phone number right there. You can call in right now. So don't call me middle of the night when you just decide to roll over and watch it and ask, are we live? Yeah, I'm live and asleep, you know? All right, let's keep it moving. But I find it fun, though. I don't mind. I ain't going to front. Hey, I wonder how many in the back real quick. All right, they got a phone number on the screen. All right. New to streaming or looking to level up. Check out stream at, oh, they got their little advertisement. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's where we at right now. All right. C-23, the case is civil, not criminal. Exactly. It's extortion, but he good. He has NDAs. He passed. Oh, he has proof that she consented. Also research. You know, they got the number right there. All right. So we getting ready to tap out. Been on here long enough. Y'all ain't calling in. I'm ready to go do the rest of my day. I enjoyed the time y'all tapping in while y'all tapping in, but we out of here. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Hey-o, hey-o, make a one, make a audio, make a one, make a audio, make a one, make a audio, make a one, make a audio. Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio. Hey-o, make a one, make a audio, make a one, make a audio, make a one, make a audio, make a one, make a audio. And we gon' do it like hey-o, we gon' do it like hey-o, we keep it moving like hey-o, we gotta do it like Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a raw in uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take.
All right. So we got a question up, right? How you got time to contact a famous lawyer before you do the police? That's a good question. Somebody put in the comments, how you got time to contact a famous lawyer before you contact the police? Somebody tell me that. All right. They're trying to drag this ninja into court and do him dirty with some bull crap. Well said. All right. I'm in Southeast Asia. I can't call. Yeah, you could call on WhatsApp. SoCal _619. You could call on WhatsApp. What's the numbers in the back? You could call on WhatsApp. You spell sharp wrong on your thumbnail. It can mess up. Okay. Thank you. We fixed that. I appreciate that, young law. Okay. She 23. Oh, it's a civil case. We did that one. Let me scroll up at some of this up here real quick. About to tap out. No, Busby is not targeting black men, only black men who are fools like fool. Well said, Danny K. Where's the audio book? At roaringharlem.com. They trying to drag this nigga in. All right. So that's where we at. So we out. All right.